Hey Jets fans, this is Chris Nimbley, editor-in-chief of JetsInsider.com, here at Jets practice facilities in Florham Park. Staff writer Joe Barone. Jets are getting ready to take off to Denver today, get ready for the game on Sunday, high altitude. You know, obviously, Jets still mathematically in the playoff race, but realistically not in the playoff race. You still have a lot of fans who are going to be sitting there talking about moving up for the draft pick. But let's start with the injury report, because we got some news yesterday that was a little worrisome if you want the Jets to win.
Yeah.
But a little better news there, and we'll start with that.
Well, Robbie Anderson was a full go today. And that's a major promising sign for him because he was in and out, right, in the practice this week. So the good thing is he is a full go. Todd Bowles said he looked great today. So that's a major positive for them. Bruce Carter is going to be the only guy out for sure. But Matt Forte and Brian Winters, they're going to be questionable for the game, likely game time decisions.
Again, Robbie Anderson, obviously it's huge because if Robbie Anderson doesn't play or plays and isn't fully effective, has to come out, then I'm going to pick the Broncos no matter how. I'm going to pick the other team no matter how the other team is, because honestly, if you ask me, Robbie Anderson is the offensive MVP of this team this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you see the way defenses have to guard him. The cushion they give him, because they're scared of getting beat deep, as they should be scared of getting beat deep. But you give them that cushion that opens everything, all these crossing routes, everything underneath, and that also, all that focus and attention allows Jermaine Kearse to do what he's done the last couple of weeks. So obviously having Robbie Anderson, if they're going to win this game, is going to be huge for them.
Well, Robbie Anderson, of course, you said everything already. I mean, he's going to be that threat, that go-to guy. Anytime on the field, first down, doesn't matter where. But Jermaine Kearse has also been good too. So even if Anderson would miss, which he's not going to, but even if he would miss, you would have Kearse step up, and then you, of course, have the rookies. Chad Hansen maybe step up as well a little bit, but we want to think about that because they got pretty good news with Anderson today.
Now, they're going against the Broncos, who have had an awful season.
Yep.
They've been an absolute disaster, but there is still a crazy amount of talent on this team, especially on the defensive side of the ball. We're talking about Kearse and Robbie Anderson, but Aqib Talib and Chris Harris Jr. is one of the best tandems of corners in the league.
Right.
So how they match up against this defense, who I never like saying teams quit or aren't playing fully hard or anything along those lines. But it does kind of feel like, watching this Broncos team, it kind of feels like they know their quarterback and their offense can't do anything. So subconsciously, maybe they kind of not quit, but they're not all in it, because that's the only explanation I can come up for with their defense getting smoked like it's been getting smoked.
And in the beginning of the season, I had no idea who was the quarterback. I'll admit that. It was Paxton Lynch, Trevor Siemian, or what?
Brock Osweiler.
So what I'm saying is, I mean, the one thing that the Jets have to be weary of is this defense, because Denver still has that talent, like you said. I mean, Von Miller is still going to be rushing the quarterback. He's still a talented guy on that line for Denver. So the offensive line, who didn't give up a sack last week, that's something that is pretty good, because they've been having an up and down season. So now to have this idea that, you know what, they could try to limit Von Miller, who has had a pretty good season so far. If you could do that, then you have to focus on spreading the field out a little bit. You know, let Robbie go out or go short. Try to get Austin Seferian-Jenkins into it, because he's been a little bit of a quiet guy around the team the last few weeks. You know, dating back to the Miami game, he just hasn't been the same player. So let's see if he could get elevated a little bit more. And then without Matt Forte, if he doesn't play, let's see how Bilal Powell or Elijah McGuire go.
On the other side of the ball, last week the Jets won, but not a great defensive performance. They played good in the middle part, but then they had somewhere sandwiched between the Travis Kelce 2 touchdowns and the Tyreek Hill 2 touchdowns. But this week, again, this Broncos offense is a mess. And if you look at their quarterbacks, Trevor Siemian, last year he wasn't good, but he wasn't terrible. And then this year he started out all right, and then he went way downhill. Then he's back in there because Brock Osweiler, Paxton Lynch is hurt and not any good. So we're back to Trevor Siemian, and the offense just looks lost and dysfunctional, and it looks like me and 10 of my friends could stop them. I know we couldn't. I'm not. This isn't the whole best college team could beat that. I know we couldn't, but it looks like that right now. That's how bad they are, and that's something this defense can feast on.
Yeah, how well can this defensive line be this week against the Broncos? Because I mean, there's been a lot of talk, especially with Mo Wilkerson of late. There's been a lot of reports saying that the Jets might be done with him after this year. That's in his head now, maybe. He hasn't been too friendly with everybody else around here. So let's see how he reacts. Let's see how he plays, because he's had some moments this year where he has showed that that contract was worth it, but then he's also had these moments where it just wasn't worth it. So let's see how he performs. Let's see how Leonard performs, and let's get some pressure from the linebackers. Darren Lee should be starting. He was out, obviously, last game due to some misconduct issues. So let's just see how this defense plays at full strength, and if they can react and pressure the quarterback.
We got the West Coast trip, not all the way Cali West Coast, but it's still long
West
enough.
Coast, yep.
It's an hour less time difference, but also the altitude mix. And then this is the other thing to think about right now, where we're getting this Todd Bowles Coach of the Year talk going again. The Jets have won one game on the road this season.
Yeah.
They beat the Browns, and they barely beat the Browns. Spare me the Coach of the Year talk when you have won one game on the road. And not to mention, after this, they have the Saints and the Patriots on the road coming up. So if they want that second road win, it's probably going to have to be here. And also, if they don't want to end the season with 4 straight losses, they're probably going to have to get a win here, because San Diego is the team they have at home. So the altitude, going on the road, can they get their second road win? All those things up in the air. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, and it's Denver, and when you looked into the season, before the season started, at the schedule, you said, Denver, in Denver, December.
Yeah, I had that as a
well, I'm sure 95% of the people who watch these videos also agree with that. But now, I mean, you look at the Giants, they were able to handle them perfectly. They just haven't been the same. And I guess you could say that, this is their one chance to really prove it. If you go to 6-7 and maybe some things go your way, then you have that whole mindset. At the end of the game last Sunday, these players were saying, we're still in it, even though, the record isn't what we would like.
Right.
This team could have easily had 9 wins this year already, just the way things have gone. So they're a better team that people suggest, but they're not right there. They're not quite ready yet.
So what do you think happens? Win, loss? Where we're going prediction time?
It's tough right now because Denver is just not looking good. So I have to pick the Jets. I mean, they look good right now, and you have the reigning AFC Offensive Player of the Week in Josh McCown under center. You have Robbie Anderson there. So I think the defense does play a much better game. I think they get to the quarterback a lot, maybe a couple turnovers go their way, and they'll win this game, maybe 20-13.
Yeah, I'm going Jets too. I don't feel great about it, but I just can't
pick the Broncos right now.
The Broncos. No. I don't see how they can do anything offensively. They've been struggling so much, and I just don't. If Robbie Anderson goes out, that's a different story. But if he's going to play and be a full go, I think they'll end up winning this game. It'll be close. But I think this is a huge game for not for this season, but for the direction this team goes here, because it's going to sound crazy. I'm going to write about this tomorrow, but I think this game could determine if Todd Bowles is back or not next year, because right now everyone's thinking he'll be back, but if you end the season with 4 straight losses, that's going to leave a bad taste in everyone's mouth. Then you're going to look back and say just the one road win. I'm not so sure everyone's going to be itching to bring him back at that point. Where you get this win, you get to 6 wins on the season, and then you lose follow up losing to the Chargers, Patriots, and Saints. I think people will forgive that. But the one road win, 4 straight losses to end the season, combined with the Falcons and Dolphins loss earlier this year, I think that could make a recipe that wouldn't vote favorably for Todd Bowles.
Well, let's see what happens. I mean, what happens if they are in a one-possession game for the next 4 games? They've been doing that. I believe it's 9 straight games where it's taken 1 possession. I mean, they have been this way all season. They've been playing for Todd Bowles, and that's the one thing that I have in his corner. He has gotten these players to play. So that's I understand he's had some questionable calls as far as the penalties go. There's a lot of penalties still, but the fact that these players are playing for him when nobody predicted this season to go the way it has, I think that's one thing that's working for him.
All right, for Joe Barone, this is Chris Nimbley at JetsInsider.com. Be sure to check out JetsInsider.com for all the latest breaking news on all things Jets.